Hello and welcome back, everyone. Today we're playing the USA, the United Sovereign Archduchy, under, of course, Duchy, under, of course, Joshua Norton. Last episode, we went out of our way to go after Qing a little bit. We'll be going after them again later. The goal of the run is to get 500 million pops, and while, okay, it's not going to be a speed run unless Great Qing goes into Heavenly Kingdom mode, which I think we're already a little bit late for. This is still going to be the goal of the run, so we're doing stuff like letting the French Republic take this so that there can be a mass emigration from, India because, discrimination and all that jazz, which will, if you take a look here, go to places like Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And so this is going to be kind of our continued strategy. Something that we haven't really been doing, which shame on us because we're not min-maxing here by not doing this, is we haven't been paying attention to local goods prices. And so what we're going to do now to kind of start open this up is we're going to look at every single place, and if the wood or if the local prices of transportation are extremely low, what we're going to do is we're going to turn on a bunch of PMs there. That way, it's much more efficient. This is super tedious. It's going to involve us going to places like Wyoming and then being like, hey, Wyoming, we could use the rail transportation PM, and we are just going to search all throughout for these, and unfortunately it's only like the rail transportation PM. Ugh, yikes. But this will help to increase the price. That way the railway is going to be a little bit more efficient, and then we will just do this in places basically everywhere, which is going to free up labor. The labor will instead go into the subsistence farms. We have plenty of sub-farms, and we'll probably look to find other stuff to build. Unfortunately, we don't have any plantations in these places, so it's not like we could build the plantations, have them auto-expand, and have them use the railway stuff. But we're going to be doing this with the railways, and probably this episode be doing the same thing with electricity, which is going to be a big sad. We don't like microing the electricity. So we have unlocked malaria prevention. Also, might as well show off a little bit of change in the graph. To be fair, it wasn't as bad as it often is, but you can see, just generally speaking, it's a lot darker, and in places where we have a lot of minerals and a little bit less labor, we have turned up everything. We have finished malaria prevention, though, so we're going to start colonizing really fast, which is generally going to mean that we're going to have a lot of native uprisings, but that's okay. Also, just kind of, we'll want to kind of peruse a little bit closely here. We can see that looks like we're going at max speed. If this is taking 28 days and this is taking 50 days, we're going at max speed right now with our current level of incorporated population, so we can actually afford to rake this back, I think, and this will free up some bureaucracy for ourselves down the line. Now, we have been not spreading production tech for a while now, and so I'm not too keen on researching any production tech, and I think that what we're going to do is we would love to be able to get new subjects, more subjects, and the way that prestige or the way that rank is calculated, well, we can't subjugate anyone unless they're below a certain point. In particular, we want to get people who are, in this minor power point, and so to do that, we would want to turn people from being, great or major powers into much smaller powers. And one way we can do that is by expanding the Navy. So considering we don't want to go prod tech, I think it's maybe worthwhile that we actually push the Navy tech a little bit. We could do something like, what is the best one for us to do? So I'm inclined to do something like self-propelled torpedoes, look to get into there, and look to get into some of the later PMs that are going to be the very, very best. And so maybe we will make a torpedo boat / sub fleet here in order to crank up our prestige really, really high, because the way it's calculated is it's based off of if you're above a certain average, which we can pull up the average by annexing people, as well as, just increasing our own prestige or percentage of the highest rank prestige, which we could of course pull up. The other option would be for us to just go something like Zeppelins, which is also very, very attractive because Zeppelins is really good. We might go Zeppelins. I think we'll do this for now. We'll go at least into the torpedo boats for the military boat, which this is not a support vessel. If I recall correctly, it's not a support vessel. I believe that's a primary vessel, or the small kind of ones. like here. I believe it's torpedo boats is here. Yep. And so we'll be able to make some torpedo boat fleets just off of doing that. And then maybe after this, then maybe we'll go for Zeppelins for that tasty mappy / also getting a Zeppelin on the map. Well, we finally managed to get free trade after not being on it forever. We set in a whole bunch of trade routes, both import and export. Perhaps we should have waited until after, we had gotten onto free trade, but we are exporting every luxury. We're basically exporting manufactured goods, and as well as all the minerals that we can, and we're importing all the agrarian stuff as an overall strategy. I think we'll just do whatever gives us more trade route competitiveness here, and so that should kick up pretty good. I think a bunch of our trade routes increased in size, absolutely crushing our convoy thing, but I think what we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to try and get the ports up way more. And what we're going to do is we're going to first target places that need infrastructure anyways and are incorporated, and generally kind of have a little bit of a bias towards places that have labor, and so we're kind of skipping over some of these. We're going to go a few in Bama, and we will be adding a whole bunch to hopefully increase the amount of trade that we get going on, and get stuff going. Man, there's not a ton of places that have a ton of labor and also are in shape like this. I guess we'll go with the Chinese places. We'll try and get them jobs, and try and get things going. We've also started to turn up a lot of labor-saving PMs in general, and this is so we are trying to increase SOL because we are starting to run out of labor in key areas more so than just like in a sort of aggregate sense, and so we're going to turn on the labor-saving PMs in general, and then we're going to kind of play a little bit of a game of whack-a-mole where we're going to try and find places, that have a ton of unemployment or have a ton of peasants, and we're going to try and build there. So we're going to search unemployment and peasants, find the best places, build. Ooh, we were not looking on the right thing here. We were looking based on unemployed, not by peasants. And if we search by peasants, we should be able to maybe find some peasants that could use jobs. Like in Texas, we just max out these here. In Virginia, we're just going to max out the convoys. We're going to max out the convoys. And this is going to be the way we re-inject money into the economy rather than adding construction, at least at this juncture, by adding convoys. And this will allow us to run up the trade routes size, which can help for pulling people into the market, which will give us more pops from whom we can siphon off, guys. In terms of what our market looks like right now, this is what it looks like. Ooh, yikes. But that will be kind of remedied a little bit. We would love to get the Ottomans and the Persians into the market, and if Great Qing gets decayed below certain power levels, we should be able to do stuff with them. And so we'll try and get trade agreements and this sort of thing and make progress in this way while we are simultaneously trying to annex our way through South America while staying on relatively low infamy. Just as a frame of reference here, we are at 25k convoys, or this is our total convoy use. Actually, we're just at 28.5k convoys at the time we put in all of these additional ports to try and increase the convoy count. I'm not gonna lie, guys, this is just about the slowest I've ever seen the game in 1870. I think this is largely a result of us playing the USK, going multiculturalism, and let's take a look here, and having an enormous amount of mass migration attraction, such that we're really scooping up every type of, pop. I guess Mexico's getting some. That's something. We're able to keep swaying for random stuff. We can't yo-yo sway because of all these kind of native things that are going on, but once these settle down, we'll be in much better shape. And once we get to the point where we have cut everyone else off, which we're actually pretty close to, we'll finish decreasing finish decreasing the colonial affairs all the way. We are upping Social Security. We would rather our pops that are unemployed just not die, because we are trying to hit a population target, which of course is a lag target. At this point, considering trying to make a little bit of a go at state atheism, which I think is probably actually meta, in order to really amp up the clout of the Intelligentsia and gain some additional, authority, because we really want to have this 50% from powerful migration attraction. We also have been getting mass migration attractions from the India spot, so that has been working out for us the way that we want. And, you know, stuff's set in and stuff's happening, but it's happening real slow. Really want to play for that 500 million, but it is a bit of a struggle bus. Luckily, exponential growth, you know, in both the GDP and the population, so expecting to see, you know, this, maybe we could do this before 1900, but it's going to be a bit rough, and it's going to hinge a bit on our next Qing War, which I think we can isolate their capital by going after Hunan, Eastern Hubei, and Zhejiang, and really close to having a fully isolated capital in that instance. So we can take a look at some pop figures. Generally speaking, pops in most areas, especially European areas, should be relatively stagnant. We see Qing is stagnant. We, of course, are cranking up. France, you can see, almost entirely stagnant. This is, I think, a rev. What is this? A rev? What did they get extra? Maybe that was annexing Switzerland, but other than that, they've been relatively stagnant, mainly because we're siphoning off pops from these guys. People who, yeah, look, these guys are relatively stagnant. They allow emigration, and so the pops are being allowed to leave. Of course, they're not, I don't think they have enough turmoil for a mass migration with Bengal, so I'm not sure exactly why they've been stagnant. I guess maybe they're having some difficulties, and Hui is too young. This is when we pulled them into the market. You can see Austria-Hungary is now slowly losing population. Adwa is in the market, they're slowly losing population. Japan, stagnant. The UK, that's one of the lowest pop UKs we've seen in a while. Maywar is growing. Ottoman Empire, kind of relatively stagnant. Ukraine, which is in our customs union, you can see kind of when they came into the customs union, and now they're slowly getting siphoned off. And so we're just kind of siphoning off just everyone a little bit slowly here. Even Shaanxi we're siphoning off, but we're siphoning off to our other Chinese provinces, because these are the only ones, or actually, I don't even know if we're siphoning off from them. I think they have closed borders, so I think they shouldn't, yeah. They're just, they just got people dying. The truth hurts with that one, actually. We got a bunch of little fires that we're putting out here. It's mainly just chill mode, but like the uberest of chill modes, because, yeah. Tamil people, in retrospect, maybe should have just let the UK start eating these guys, because then we would have gotten a lot of the mass migrations. You can see that, like, is that owned by the British market? Yikes. How did that happen? Anyways, if they had annexed a whole bunch of this, we maybe would have been getting more migrants, but, yeah, this is moving slow as molasses. I don't know if I have 500 million in me, guys, to be honest, at this speed, or 500 million, rather. Maybe we can get to a quarter billion, something like this. Like, in theory, we're gonna have it down pat, because it's only been 42 years, but also, like, you know, it's moving real slow. We can pass a new law. I don't really know what we want to pass. I think we would consider commercialized agriculture. I think commercialized agriculture is probably better. I think it also allows the trade unions to come on up a little bit, so we're going to swap this to that, and then go for commercialized agriculture. It'll also make the boyos happy. The boyos being, of course, the industrialists who are not too pleased about us, you know, passing old age pension, which will tend to be better overall for SOL, which we are using to siphon off more and more migrants. You could see, like, our line is starting to approach 45-degree angle, especially as we are, like, having enough construction to actually depeasant at a decent clip. We're not completely depeasanted. I think we're going to also do stuff like push fishing wharves on the coast as best we can. Looks like we've already kind of pushed it, to be honest. But these are really good for depeasanting as well. And so we'll, you know, push them as best we can. We are going to be integrating relatively soon Venezuela, which is also going to be pretty nice for us there. So for what it is worth, our convoys, we have doubled from kind of our check-in period where we had 25k, and all of these are now getting dedicated to trade routes, way more trade routes. So let's take a look at where exactly are our costs in convoys going to the trade routes. So we're bringing in a lot more grain. We're Are we really importing regular clothes? I guess we're okay importing regular clothes, actually, to be honest, because this is going to increase SOL. This is a play pattern that I've been meaning to test out, but we haven't done it too much. We are importing glass. Again, this is fine. We're exporting at the same time. We're exporting luxury clothes, and we're also exporting the porcelain. We're exporting opium. I suppose we don't really need to export opium. We're exporting, a bunch of these minerals. We're importing, again, basic goods here. But we need to expand our own consumer good base, so it's possible that we want to delete these at some point in time. Really kind of doing a lot of trade with France. I think that we don't want to be importing steel, so we'll actually nuke that one, which will allow our other profitable routes to grow in size. And I think that's kind of a bit of an overview of how much of the stuff. Let's see how much we're getting in revenue. Yeah, we're just getting an absolute ton from the route with Great Qing, and we can, if we free up more and more convoys, we can in theory increase the size of this even more, which is quite a bit of a task, which is going to actually, in their Qing's market, going to increase relative to like where their grain price normally kind of sits. It's going to increase the price, which is going to well, we would hope it would cause internal problems, but I think that they have a devout that's happy with them, and they're just like not experiencing issues. They're not experiencing the types of issues we need them to be having. So that's like kind of thing one. We also have 80 stack navy kind of coming in. We have it built up, or we're having it in the queue, and once it builds up, we're expecting to have that crank up our prestige up quite a bit. We're sitting at 4K here, so hoping to get close to 5K, and we'll just keep spamming a few more navies. Probably look to get up to around 100, and these guys are just going to be raiding squads with the torpedo boats and such, and we can spread them out, and we can also use them for landings, so they'll be very flexible. We'll probably merge, our monitor fleets. I kind of like staying on monitors, because it is as far as requirements go here. As far as requirements go, in terms of what they require on their inputs, monitors have the very least. And I think when you have one really, really huge stack that you're using for landings, monitors are going to be the nicest, other than frigates, which use not ironclads, but instead man-o'-wars. But maybe even frigates are going to be better. You just run a combo with your really big fleet, a combo of frigates and capital ships. Just from a practical perspective, the AI won't really be able to fight your frigate plus capital ship navy that's like a 200 stack or a 400 stack, and maybe this is a little bit better than like actually trying to use light ships that can fight, because you just need to up the light ship number so that your navy landing can get in. It just the game's always just like so choppy and laggy by the time you get to like the late tier navy stuff that you just don't get to play around with it. And I've been wanting to play around with it for a while, but like this is just like this is I'm not sure if we're gonna. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's constructing time, baby. That 15% throughput is going to be real nice. Now, it's gonna... So the throughput is like one that's really hard to kind of... I think it's really underestimated, because we are actually running out of places that we want to build construction sectors. We wish we had more construction sectors in a place like Pennsylvania, where we're, have all the resources we want, and we have really nice mapping for everything, and it's like, oh, if only we could put more construction sectors here. This is effectively what throughput gives you, is it gives you the ability to put more construction sectors, or effective construction sectors, in areas that you would want to. Now, most of the cost of the construction is in the building materials itself, so throughput doesn't really save you a lot of money. It saves you like a few percent on each, but it allows you to get better mapping, which maybe saves you a few more percent, so maybe it saves kind of like somewhere around the realm of 7% on construction. We see our construction go up by a little bit, which is pretty nice. Still just kind of putting out the fires. A lot of our little by little is right. We talking about the speed of the game or what? Now, a lot of what we're still recruiting up on these boats. The boats basically haven't recruited up at all. In fact, we could. The admirals haven't even. Okay, the admirals are here. It's just lagging. And so we don't really know exactly how much we're going to end up getting out, but the prestige is already up a little bit with just a few boats. It's not entirely by the boats. We can actually see the breakdown here. GDP product is 1,400. Most of it's from GDP. We see 500 is, or roughly, is from Navy power projection, and we're roughly doubling that, so we'd be getting another 500. And the whole point of this is to force other countries into lower brackets because we are pulling up the average. Also, annexing smaller countries would allow us to maybe be able to sway and get more people as subjects as kind of this attitude. Like, so for example, we could sway Prussia to make Prussia our subject. The reason we were able to do this is because they were a minor power. If we, push the requirement higher and higher, we might be able to get a similar thing with, let's say, Egypt, because they wouldn't be a regional power anymore, or the Ottomans if the Ottomans got decayed down to a minor. And so this is the point, because there's not a whole lot that more money can really buy us that's tremendously useful, because, okay, well, actually, we could afford more construction. We're not even on max taxes or anything like that, but we could afford more construction, but the construction slows us down as well in terms of actual, game speed, and running a deficit is fine enough. I think we're in fine shape. The point is, I think that the boats are the way to go, but also the game's really slow, so yeah, yep. Alright, we're gonna go after Great Qing again. This might be the last war we do. We've already put it in. Was trying to figure out how to isolate the capital, but then I just realized we should just take the capital instead and then isolate the coast. And so that's what we did. We're releasing Dacheng, which is just Guangxi, so we will have Jiangxi, which we will take personally. This will be released, and if the capital of theirs moves to either Shaozhou or Guangdong, it'll just be 2 provinces with access. We're also releasing Hebei, which means that, the smattering of 4 or 5 provinces here will be isolated from the interior. The interior will be completely isolated from the coast, with the exception of this province over here, where if they go to that province, we'll be big sad. We could release Mongolia in order to prevent this, but yeah, if they have the capital here and then this is the thing, they probably won't be able to run enough convoys to give full market access to these areas anyways, and so this is our plan, to bust them up as much as possible, hoping that we get some sort of Heavenly Kingdom thing, but also the speed at which stuff is going is a little bit too slow for even if we get, I think, exactly what we want. We're gonna raise the 2 Chinese armies, which these stacks are super nice, where we just have each off of 1 province, just this 105 stack, where it's a 5 stack to do just random stuff, and then a 100 stack when we need it. So these have been pretty nice. But yeah, we're just gonna try and get in here and enforce on them, and just do our thing. Don't really need too much army. We definitely don't need to mobilize the boys, the army of Florida men, which, by the way, now is over 2,500 conscripts. Very gratuitous, but the entire point is that it allows us to, sway in and do funky stuff, although the UK is having none of that, which is, fair enough. We also had this Tripolitania liberal revolt, that's fine. But yeah, this should be a pretty easy war. It'll just take a while. Well, things are not looking good for China at all. Fairly straightforward on this. Just kind of pushed in their army power projections less than ours, not even considering, the Florida men we have in reserve. And so 9K versus, what's the projection here? 1,800? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to cut it. Their economy is also not what the Qing economy often is. It's down to 90 million GDP, and it's going to get subsequently big bopped in here in just a moment. I'm wondering if they're even going to want to capitulate super fast, or once this Monday tick finishes going through here. I guess we shouldn't be. Yeah, okay. The war reparations aren't really that useful, but I guess we'll just stick in just longer just to get the war reps, but we're about to full occupy these bad boys. And I would not be surprised to see if they rev after this. I mean, maybe they don't. I guess it's just devastation and not turmoil. it just can translate into turmoil. I think the bigger problem would be if they were, the bankrupt, but they're not bankrupt because they just like downgraded all their PMs and deleted all their buildings, so I guess that works. So we enforce, and Qing is in for a bad time. This is their market access. Their market capital moved over to Guangdong, is their capital. Their capital's also in Guangdong. This is fantastic for us. Fantastic-ish. It's obviously going to crush all of our trade routes that we had with China, but that's kind of fine. And now the curious thing is this devastation going to go up or down? The daily change is going down, or sorry, rather, the thing we care about is turmoil. We know the devastation is going to go down. Is this going to cause turmoil, and will they have a Heavenly Kingdom rev? Now, I think the answer to this is no. I think that the only pops that are Protestant are in here and in here. These are the only two states that have Protestant pops, so I don't think anything is going to come of it, but it would be nice. We also got this for free, like, a while back, but this is probably going to be, I mean, we got to 178 million, but to be fair, like 50 million-ish of this is from taking Beijing and the other two Chinese provinces here. So let's see, we got 26 million plus 26 million. What is that? Never do math while you're recording a video. 33 million, 43 million, and then 53 million, 60 million. So around 60 million of this is coming from not migration, but instead Chinese provinces. I mean, that's... The thing is like, these are just going to exodus. If we take a look at the culture map, they're, like, just having these Han provinces is actually going to be pretty nice for us, because what they'll do is they'll just leave and they'll come over here. So, see how we have South Carolina, Han, Crew. I don't think Crew is very normal. And then, what is this, Hungarian? That's interesting. But the whole idea was if Heavenly Kingdom popped, it would have just been Han all the way around, because they have open borders. But also, I think that I'm understanding what exactly is causing this lag or this level of slowness. This is ungodly slow. I think this is the slowest I've ever had a game at 1880. We have a queue that's not filled. I mean, I don't think it matters, but, you know, I cannot in good conscience allow the queue to go unfilled. Alright, we don't have economies of scale up to 50 yet. Like, that's that's the area of the game we're in. That's the super swimming in. So we're just going to get a couple of these up to 20, or 31 rather, which is our current EOS cap, and continue talking about the thing. So, I think what's causing all this lag is that the cultural communities... if you have a ton of cultural communities, it is way slower than before, because now it has to do cultural communities calculations. But if there are very few cultural communities, then this means there's not very much fragmentation, and the performance is better because there's not much fragmentation. When you absolutely blast and win and just absolutely crush in the game that is the, you know, holding down the lobby for the mass migration attraction, and you get something like this where we have like 140, and you start, you know, having mass migrations everywhere, and every single one of your provinces has over a dozen of these cultural communities, then I think this just absolutely creates an obscene amount of lag. I don't know if this is, I mean, I don't know if this is what's causing it, but like, we just like let the game go. This is really, really, really slow for 1880, at least for my rig. So yeah, I guess we're going to struggle bus for a while. I really am curious and keen on seeing what exactly happens to Qing here, though, and if they start to accumulate some amount of turmoil. So coming out of Bengal, you can now see, now that there's been time to form cultural communities and have mass emigrations, you can see what we were trying to produce, or the effect we were trying to produce with the Heavenly Kingdom. These guys are leaving 21k, you know, per week. That's a 1.1 million per annum, and they're going to Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Rio Grande, and Assam. And this is happening in multiple states where they're having rather large exoduses that are coming to, you know, our sphere over here. And if we take a look over here, you know, and look through the ledger and look through the mass migration attraction, even as slow as the game's going, like you just saw 3 come in just now, we're also going to be annexing Amazonia down here, which is going to be nice for us. Not for Amazonia, but, you know, it is what it is. This is going to be pretty good. Getting a control over a pretty large, chunk of the overall South America. You can see here, this is our market. Market's looking pretty good. Ottomans has a trade agreement with us, and so if we were not infamous in this way, we could probably pull Ottomans into the market as well here for a really, which Ottomans specifically is really, really nice because they are no migration controls. They're one of the very few with no migration controls, so we would be able to siphon off a lot of pops from them if we pulled them into the market. They're kind of the most populous country now with no migration controls because every unrecognized country now has closed borders, it seems to be the case, roughly speaking, or something else to this effect. And these guys start out recognized, but they become unrecognized, and so it's a little bit of that. Otherwise, you have to try and do stuff like pass laws through, your subjects, which is going to be easier in 1.7 hopefully, but like if we could open Japan's borders, that would be nice because we would get a ton of Japanese pops because they're our subject, but we can't, so it is what it is. So I think we're going to conclude the episode and the run here. I know I said repeatedly we would get to 500 million pops. I think it would just be a matter of time, but like it's so slow right now, and I figured that you guys would much rather me make multiple videos than take like something like 6 hours an episode to record through this speed, maybe even longer. So I just I figured that you guys would rather see that, and so we'll kind of go over some stuff. This is the state of affairs of the market. We'll swap over to Qing at the very end, just kind of see what's maybe going on with their radicalism. Ooh, these guys left our market. Okay, well that does happen. They joined the Spanish market. The truth hurts. No one expects the Spanish market. Well, here is our GDP growth rate. Very, very exponential. Big, nice. Here's our pop growth rate. Also kind of it's kind of like a 45-degree, but like the rate at which we were getting pops was just insane. Can't de-peasant them fast enough. Really the unused well, actually, it's not even the unused arable land so much as the whoever's the top of the lobby in terms of the mass migration attraction seems to like winner take all, and I really hope that like this isn't the case where like everyone just trends towards this uber laggy situation with this many mass migrations causing this many cultural communities. So cultural communities are difficult to form unless you have a mass migration, in which case they form instantly. And so what we've experienced is just, well, we get enough mass migrations that we just have like unlimited cultural communities, and so, okay. They could only target incorporated states. We did have a bit of a strategy that we didn't talk about too much in terms of incorporated states, which was that if it didn't have a lot of arable land, we just left it unincorporated. If it had arable land and resources, we incorporated to help pull up the average. But if it didn't, we didn't. So we didn't reincorporate, for example, District of Columbia, Maryland, or Delaware, which were all exited on part of the Rev. And then some of these guys don't have that much arable land or don't have resources, so we didn't incorporate them. We incorporated Freistaat and Transvaal and Northern Cape because they do have resources. Lindy would have been incorporated. We would have gotten these a lot faster if we had, African Americans accepted, but I messed that up. But like these are kind of the two states, Lindy and Tanganyika, that I think are like really worth incorporating because they're the two states in Africa that have coal and iron. But to be fair, the stuff that has iron, like a state like this is probably worth incorporating. Iron, rubber, logging is probably good enough. But okay. Let's see, what else can we look at here? Just kind of outro. We were trying to crank up the prestige intentionally using some of the boats, which was kind of working. Our prestige has gone up quite a bit over the course of this episode, which wasn't that long, which could help us to marginalize or get other people to rank down from being great power. I don't think anyone ranked down here, but this was very much the idea. GDP, we're far and away, ahead of everyone else, and also another like big story of what was going on is like France was losing pop to us in terms of mass migration. Really does seem winner take all, and we would just like, if the Heavenly Kingdom had happened, we would have been in really, really good shape. Look, this is from Austria-Hungary being in our market. Look at them just like crank down. Migration just seems very, very, very strong in terms of the mass migration specifically. Even Prussia was losing pops here. They were our subject and this type of thing. And we weren't trying to do like world conquest or anything like that to pull the pops up. Although 60 million of these are from the Chinese provinces, which is worth noting. Yeah, so this was our kind of a super migration attempt to push run. Although I think a big story of the run was not just the migration, but the fact that you can shake your fist at the enemy and they'll back down really, really easily with conscripts. So the Army of the Florida Men being perhaps the most useful tool in our arsenal, in that we got a ton of what we got for free because they backed down, because they were afraid of our army, because we had this one stack that we could move around, and occasionally we did full conscripted up. And to be fair, when we full conscripted up and it was like 1,000 units, that's like, what are you supposed to do about that? We just had to make sure we had enough money in the bank to like do that, because there was no way we could ever sustain it. But kind of made me, or is making me rethink if I think professional army is better than national militia. The problem with this, though, is the 5 barracks max level, which means you have to have a lot of states for it to be good, I think. Because I think you do want the capacity for some standing army. Like, we have a standing army of 50 here. 24, 20, like 10, 10, 10, 10. Like, we have a bunch of standing armies. But... you know, and also when you mobilize, you also like pull guys out from the factories, which is like not ideal. But the fact that we have so much pop, and we have pop kind of acting as batteries inside of these peasant areas, probably means that it's not too bad. I think we just probably would prefer to conscript, if we were to try and intentionally do stuff, conscript out of areas like this where we don't have a lot of pops, and then not conscript out of places like Pennsylvania. Wow, even Pennsylvania has peasants. It's crazy. New York doesn't, or New York has very little, but look at this migration attraction, 200. And this is without even like having a, an edict down here. Just because we have the Trade Center, great power, the Intelligentsia. We mentioned earlier that we think state atheism might be meta now, just so you can get enough authority to run edicts. Edicts seem a lot less useful the more incorporated states you have, but when you have very little, you could use it to force yourself to the top of the thing, and play tall in this way. And then we have Statue of Liberty and Teeming Shore. Altogether, it's just an enormous amount of mass migration. Our flat values are 30 from available employment, 20 from unused arable land, 35 from, we are getting a mass migration here, 35 from, from the standard of living. We could take a look and see how much unused arable land currently. So about 500,000 jobs worth gets us, a little over 500,000 jobs worth is getting us, an arable land of 20. So I'm guessing every 250,000 gives us plus 10 with a cap of, a cap of 30. Or I think the cap's 35. But like, yeah, this is super pushed. It looks like the cap's 30. So every 250,000 or so will give you another plus 10 on this modifier, which means that if you're European, doing stuff like going after, Argentina is probably the best example, but going after places like this, they're going to have like plus 10 if you can drain out their arable land. Places like La Paz, you can go after them, incorporate it, and use this to pull up your average once the turmoil goes down. But I think with Argentina specifically, they have some of the places with the most unused arable land. 300 here, which should give you the max value. I know there's a lot kind of here in Brazil too that's fairly good and has a decent chunk. So utilizing going after South America, I think, is even better now with the migration changes, because if you incorporate a place like La Paz, or not even La Paz, a place like Buenos Aires, right, where you have this 300 this huge unused arable land. If you incorporate something like this, you can use this to pull up your average migration attraction. And when you pull up your average, because it's winner take all, it does seem to, or it's winner take all ish. You're no longer thinking in terms of individual provinces. You're thinking in terms of averages. Also, when you're currently receiving mass migration attraction, it doesn't count. So if you only have like 5 incorporated states, then edicts or decrees become really useful. The decrees didn't feel very useful for us because we had so many incorporated states, to be honest. It was just, we had the stupidly strong US states and a bunch of events too. But anyways, I digress. This is the run. Hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry we didn't get to 500 million. We would have gotten there eventually. It's only 1880, but the game's too slow. Anyways, if you liked the video in the run, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. All that does help out. And other than that, have a good one. I almost forgot, we wanted to take a look at Qing, specifically see how they were doing with radicals. It looks like they really weren't generating a ton of radicals. Radicals is changed going up, being conquered by a foreign country, oof, the truth hurts. Decreasing as standard of living. I don't know if this would have maintained and they would have continued to go up in terms of radicalism. It's a little bit hard to tell. If they're ever getting the Confucian Scholars bonus, like, they don't generate radicals, basically. Is kind of the easiest way to look at it. But I guess we could unpause and take a look. Oh, now the game's progressing quick, huh? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, well, quick is maybe a bit of an overstatement, but it's much, much faster than when we were playing as the USA. I wonder if it had to do with us having that massive stack of conscripts, and if the USA just got rid of that. We're gonna swap back, actually, real quick. Oh, now it instantly lags as soon as we try and play this. They still have the stack of conscripts. Maybe it's that we have so many generals? I don't know what's causing the lag, though. That's so curious. But, like, okay, when we're on Qing, it's much more manageable. Oh, maybe it's the construction queue. Look at this. We have... they're using base construction, and they're constructing nothing but 11 sheets of ports, barracks, and government administrations. Jesus. Oh, and they're hemorrhaging money. And are they even on max taxes? Oh, so they're just gonna go bankrupt. And then collapse, right? Yeah, okay, eventually they collapse here, I think. Which is a bit interesting. Yeah, or they start deleting down their army a ton, which, like, they've already done, to be fair. And do a bunch of this in order to make stuff work, kind of. And then they maybe decay under, oh, they're getting close to decaying to regional power or unrecognized. Yeah, and if they're a regional power, at that point you can just subjugate them. So maybe that would have been how the run kind of unfolds. The Heavenly Kingdom, we can see that any Qing state has god-worshipping society, turmoil greater than 15%. Interesting. I think that, yeah, us leaving them with these provinces makes it the best chance that this were to fire, but I'm not sure it fires. Anyways, yep, okay.
Now, children, I was asked to bring a healthy snack, so join me in the hall for swine livers and Capri Suns.